Good morning, and this is Morning Real, hosted by yours truly, Ray Salazar. This is a 200 minute or so podcast of films that I review. If I see it, I review it. From 1899 to 2026, from Technicolor to black and white, infrared, Super 8, mini DV, IMAX 70 millimeter. You see it, I see it, I review it. Now, Oscar season's over, right? But the Oscars never leave us. For us people who love film, who love watching movies, who compares the pastime to the next of baseball, Shoot, there's films that are as long as a baseball game, like Showa. It's a film about the Holocaust. It's actually a documentary or so, but it's 9 hours long. Remember, there was a screening somewhere out there in New York where they presented the film after like 50 years or whatever, right? And I don't know if it was shown in film or like a 4K restoration of sorts, but they put the whole 9 hour flick out there. Imagine seeing a movie for 9 hours, dude. Like, dang. Especially about a subject like that. That's pretty wild for anybody to like just be in there, right? Especially those who've survived the horrors, of that time in history. Nonetheless, this film has nothing to do with Showa, but Weinstein? I don't know. Anyways, I'm here to talk about Good Will Hunting. It's a remarkable film. It's a 1997 American drama film directed by Gus Van Sant. If you don't know who Gus Van Sant is, he's a prolific director and artist. He's directed all kinds of films like the Death Trilogy, Jerry, Elephant, Last Days, which is kind of like a weird Kurt Cobain biopic of sorts, what would have happened in his last day on Earth or whatever. He's directed Drugstore Cowboy, of course, Good Will Hunting. He directed a film with not River Phoenix, but the other Phoenix guy, Joaquin Phoenix. He Won't Get Far on Foot, something like that. It's a pretty cool film. But he's directed many others. He's done Psycho, which not a lot of people would like to remember, but he did it for the money, Sometimes we got to do that to get ahead, to get that money to film your other film projects, He's done Milk, Mala Noche. If you haven't seen Mala Noche, pretty good fucking film. But yeah, man, I love Gus Van Sant. He's actually, he's not only an underrated filmmaker, like to me, he is kind of like one of my favorite filmmakers of all time. Just what he did in the Death Trilogy was remarkable. Like, this was me barely getting into film and like actually like filming things. And I got to see movies where like, you can do that? You can actually hold a shot longer than 20 seconds? Wait, we don't need to cut? Wait, you can follow your character around? Like, wait, you don't need to have dialogue? Wait, you can just have not a freeze frame, but a static shot of the mountains or of a building and put like nice soundscapes, music, animal noises, stuff like that. You can do all that stuff. Well, this guy did it and he put it out there, and there was a time where he put it out there in film, and then people caught up to it with DVD. I caught up with it in DVD, and it really influences me as a person who films stuff. You're sort of not breaking the rules of traditional filmmaking, but you are putting yourself out there, your own personal type of creativity to tell a story about anything, really. There's Jerry, for instance. I won't go too far into it, but it's one of the most remarkable visually shot films of this modern age. I suggest you see it. It stars Matt Damon and Casey Affleck, who play brothers, and they go on this hike in the desert, which leads them to the mountains, and somehow they get lost in there. It's pretty crazy how that whole film works. It's very natural. But anyways, Good Will Hunting stars Matt Damon and Ben Affleck, who wrote the film. Man, this film has a crazy history as to how it got there, how it got to be made. It just started out as a screenplay written by Matt Damon, and then Ben Affleck just got into the mix. And from what I read, it took a while. It took a lot of like different kinds of connections to basically get the film made. It had to go into Harvey Keitel's hands. At some point, it had to go to Tarantino's hands, Quentin Tarantino, Lawrence Bender, Kevin Smith. It kind of went all over the place, and it landed with people like Stellan Skarsgård, Minnie Driver, Casey Affleck, Cole Hauser, and who can forget Robin Williams, who plays the professor who does a lot of counseling to Will Hunting, played as the character named Sean. This film is pretty dope, man. It's not one of my favorite films, but it's written very well, acted very well, and just shot very well. I love the way Gus Van Sant shot this film. It's not your typical traditional film about figuring out your life, figuring out why things went the way they went. You know, like, why did my childhood led me to this? You know, I wouldn't say it's a coming of age film, but it does have those coming of age aspects. It all starts with Will Hunting. I'm gonna keep it plain and simple, straight to the point. Will Hunting, he's a genius of sorts. He has a mind where math to him is like making scrambled eggs or making a basic pancake recipe. Like, if you don't know how to make pancakes, it takes just about up to like 3 or 4 ingredients. Actually, it may take 1 if you're just using a banana. But anyways, that's how math is to him, and physics and all that stuff. You know, this guy is so smart that the NSA wouldn't mind having him on board. The NSA, the National Security Agency, or the National Intelligence, whatever, National Security, but they pretty much handle a lot of the tech and digital aspects of like the safety of this country, of the United States. And it's one of the biggest ones in the United States, like far much bigger than the CIA and the FBI. So imagine for the NSA guy to knowing Will's history and all this stuff, he wouldn't care. He wouldn't care. It doesn't matter. It's the mind that he wants, the gift, what he could be of value into a crap, like, what is it, a corporation, an entity of sorts, a private sector. Anyways, Will is troubled. He likes to mess around, dude. He likes to break the law. He doesn't care. He doesn't really have much direction. He's out on parole, taking a janitor's job at MIT. That's the Massachusetts Intelligence Tech Institute of Technology. I don't know, man. Whatever it is, MIT. Yeah, everybody knows what MIT. It's next to Harvard, practically. Anyways, this guy just solves math problems on the board, and obviously he doesn't say nothing about it. There's something about that. Why doesn't he say anything about it? We slowly get fed into this film as to who Good Will Hunting is, you know, played by Matt Damon. Got a best friend named Chucky, played by Ben Affleck. The two are inseparable. They have quite a dynamic, quite a chemistry. Obviously, Matt Damon and Ben Affleck go way back, up until like down to their childhood years, you know? So it's good to have a buddy in your film, but a buddy who actually understands you in a way that nobody else does. I mean, dudes understand each other per se, but at the same time, it takes, sometimes there's just one person, you know, if it's a male, right, who kind of just gets you to the point where like he isn't afraid to tell you your shit. There's a particular scene in that where he tells Will, like, you owe it to yourself, you owe it to everybody here, because, you know, if we had that gift, we'd be out of here. It's like a first golden ticket of sorts, you know? Will has that genius. He can be anything he wants, practically. But he has an advanced mind where, shoot, he can land a really good job if he wanted to. But at the same time, it's not really what Will wants, especially when he meets a woman, you know? Skylar, played by Minnie Driver, and what a great character who really loves this guy. You know, she really wants to get to know him. She doesn't really care who he is or where he's from. She likes being around him. She likes being with him. She loves him. She sees herself traveling with him. She offered to, you know, go to California and to come with him, just to go, you know, and see where that goes. You know, she has something lined up, but She doesn't care what this guy has going on. Not that she doesn't care about what he has going on in his life, but she wants him in his life, you know, and he can't because he feels himself that he's just not capable because, you know, he's been abused as a kid, and it led him to lead a life where, like, you know, I'm just going to do whatever I want, see what happens. You know, who cares, right? It gets him to a really nasty mess of a court case where he can go to jail for a while, you know, for a while, especially with his like track record and all that stuff. But this this Professor Lambau, played by Skarsgård, he sees the genius. He sees what he could be a value of, you know. He sees a lot of potential. He does care about him. That's the thing about like these male characters. And it's funny because this film, 95% of it, I'd say, is all male. You know, there's barely any women in this film. And I mean, I don't know what the reason would be, but it's a man's film, really. It's the perspective of a male. You know, it's crazy how this film came out in the late 90s, 97. And, you know, there's not a lot of films where, especially like in the 90s, where it touches on the subject of manhood and how you can hide your emotions, hide your skeletons of sorts, and you don't want to really bring them up for whatever reason you got, you know. And it may be even more heightened, more energetic when there's like somebody important in your life who you start breaking some of your own walls, and you're starting to notice it, and you notice the pattern with it, where what I'm going to do, am I going to like take a chance with this person, or I'm just going to screw it off like I usually do because I don't know, I'm comfortable with it, I'm familiar with it, and whatever, you know, the next one will come around. But this chick's different, you know. He notices that she sees him as him and not like where he came from or who he hangs out with. I mean, she's down to like hang out with him and and his friends, you know. There's a scene in the film where it's one of my favorite shots in the film, and I've seen this film a couple of times from my teens up to now, you know. Because of Oscar season, I needed to see this movie, you know. Like, I've been getting the algorithm is powerful on Instagram, and they were just showing clips of Good Will Hunting. I'm just like, you know what? I gotta talk about this movie, man. I finally gotta talk about it. I love this film. I love the writing. I love the acting. Robin Williams gives such a powerful performance, man. Like, he's so layered. Of being disrespected of a painting, and it just got him. It got him, and the way he reacted towards Matt Damon grabbing his neck, dude. And dude, I mean, I don't know if that was a stunt guy to do that part, but man, if it was Robin Williams and getting choked by Robin Williams like that, dude, like, that's scary, dude. Because you can tell this guy, you know, he works out. He works his arms out at least, you know, like, you know, he'll crush you, dude. He'll legitimately crush you. And he told him, like, if you ever disrespect my wife again, I will land you, you know. And he took him serious. They took each other serious. They had some sort of understanding. There's a lot of iconic scenes in this film, especially when they all go down to the Harvard bar, and then that intellectual student who starts quoting like all these books, Vickers and all this stuff. And then Will just like, what? I know this guy. I know what he's talking about. And boom, just reverses it back onto him. Classic. And then not only that, he gets Sky's number. How about them apples? Beautiful scene. Just the music, just, I don't know, man. It's just something about this film where the way Van Sant shoots it, he knows what we want to see, you know, and he knows what kind of reactions we're going to get. So he knows in his mind that, okay, I'm going to frame it this way so we can get everybody on screen. And not only are they on screen, we know that they're on screen because we want them to be on screen. We want to see their reactions because I know what's going to happen right now. Puts the number there, and we get to see all the faces of everybody witnessing this, and we're witnessing it as an audience. And not only that, the way it's framed or the way it's angled makes us feel like we're in that fucking scene. We're in that donut shop, dog, and we're just there for like 10 seconds and then just on to the next scene. But like that whole setup, dude, the attention to detail, that's Van Sant for you, man. Like this guy really wants you to like just understand why he chose that shot, you know. And the other shot that I'm talking about, and again, that shot is not my favorite, but there's a shot where Matt Damon and Sky, they go on their date and they go onto this, I guess, this pier area, I don't know. And there's a scene, and the scene's good because you get to see hot dogs on the grill and stuff, you know. It's a shot of the inside of a hot dog stand or just a stand, right? Food stand. And the camera's slowly just dollying forward, you know. And we get to see these two people have fun and be themselves and share things with each other, you know. They're sharing their space, they're sharing their words. At some point they might be sharing their own food, I don't know. But I just like the way it just dollies forward and it just goes in there once it gets to that sort of like almost a medium, sort of like this shot here, but as a 2-shot, but just a little bit more space. And it's just crazy that, and you got the music of Elliott Smith in the background, dog, and it's poetry in motion, man. It's the shots you want to see when it comes to like romantic, like just two people like who are in their like what 20s or whatever. One's going to college, one's a fucking street kid and doesn't know what he wants, but you get to see exactly what he wants at the moment, and he really cares about that. He really appreciates it. Just had a hard life, you know. Sometimes that fucks you up in the long run. Some people don't even get the help. This guy got lucky. He got lucky, man. He would have been in jail for years, but Lambeau saw something in him, and Lambeau wants him like not utilize his genius per se, but like he said in the later part in the film, we're like, you know, I just want you to see what's out there, dude, because there's more than just here, and they both know that. This guy's never been out of Boston, you know. Sean, such a great like mentor, and again about the men in this film, right? Like they all have different perspectives of like how they sort of nurture Will, like his existence, his like, I mean, he's not innocent by all means, but like we all have a soft side. We all have a side that we can coexist with, you know? And they all see that. They all have this version of him that they see of Will, you know? They all know that he's a great fucking kid. He's capable. He just doesn't know. He's just never had the mentorship of it. He's never really been challenged as they talk about in the film. I love the way Sean challenges him. I love the scenes in the therapy sessions, you know? The different choice of shots in each session, you know, which inspired me to do that skit where Ezone is, you know, being the therapist for Xavier, and I chose just certain shots or whatever, right? But whatever, you know, like I don't know, man. You just got to be into it if you're into it to like just to know how beautiful these shots are framed and the music that goes along with it with certain scenes, you know. There's a part of when the second act ends where things just go off the ship, things are crumbling down. Will breaks up with Sky because he just won't be vulnerable, and understandably, of course, breaks her heart, breaks his heart, and you can feel it, you can see it, and you can tell that, hey, this cannot be saved maybe, but fuck it, you know, maybe I just can't be saved or whatever, you know. Skylar says fuck it, but whatever. And I love the music that's being played in between those scenes, the certain shots. And sometimes it's just a one-take Jake type of thing, or at least it seems like it, right? And the ending, of course, where Will leaves, great scene. It's not your fault. The way it's shot and the way it just goes back, it's poetry in motion. The interactions between Sean and Lambeau, you know, like they got a respect for each other, you know. That's what's great too, you know. There's not a lot of films where you don't see mutual respect between two professionals, really, you know. Like Sean's a professor, but he also does counseling, and he did it for a while. And he has his reasons as to why he stopped doing it. These characters have layers, man. It's written so well how these characters expose themselves, their background, what they did in their past lives, Lambao's character as well. He's not just some like intellectually smart math professor, like he's also human in a sense, and they all got some growing up to do, that's the thing about this film. It's about growing up, it's not a coming of age film, but it's like a man's coming of age film, like it's not just your 18-year-old growing up. It's like mid-20s, maybe early 20s. Great film to watch, man. It's a good therapeutic film to watch at the same time. It's tense. This film was going to be a thriller. It was written it was written out to be a thriller. And they got a lot of opinions and suggestions that, what, maybe you should focus on the relationship between Sean and Will in their therapy sessions and how that works with his life, to getting out of jail, lands a job. But hey, Will figured out what he wants in his life, and at the moment right now, he wants Sky, and he's gonna go get Sky. And probably one of the smartest decisions that he's made in the film, because ironically, this guy's a genius. This guy reads books like nothing, like fucking writes out math, solves problems like nothing, like everything's at his disposal. But guess what, man? He's got something that's a little bit too much, more important than that. My favorite shot of the film is the scene where Chucky picks up Will, right? Like every other morning, right? But this time, Will's not there. He leaves. And he's happy about it. He goes back to the car. My favorite shot, I don't know why it's my favorite shot, but I just like the way it's a simple ass shot too. That's the thing about it. Such a simple ass shot is where Ben Affleck gets in the car, the driver, and then the little homie played by Casey Affleck, who ironically is Ben Affleck's brother, he closes the car door and like kind of jogs around the car and gets into the passenger side. I don't know what's up with that shot, where I just love the way it just moves like that. It's like almost a 180 shot, but it's just done so effortlessly. And I don't know, that's that, and the way it's framed too, because he's framed at a like sort of like a medium shot, and it's at a low angle. It's just something about Van Sant where he likes to show, man, dude. He's a gay filmmaker, dude. Like, I mean, I'm not gonna go into it because I could, but it's not that it's not important. But there's a thing about Van Sant, if you've seen his films, where he's very expressive about his shots, the way he does body shots, of people, right, men and women, because you get to see some of that in Good Will Hunting. You see it on the scenes where Will and Sky, they're hanging out in the bedroom, and they're in between, they're in between and they're talking and they're just being intimate. They're being intimate without doing anything. They're just there next to each other and probably nude or whatever, and you get to see those shots. And they're framed very respectfully, very like not cheek, like tongue in cheek or whatever, but it's dignifying the way he shows like people knowing that they're probably not like wearing clothes or certain types of clothes at the shot, right? But it's dignifying, and you get to see some of that. And Van Sant does that with a lot of his films, where he shows the shots of people, like sometimes no shirt on, whatever, or like short shirts or whatever, and he'll shoot them in a certain way where he just highlights certain body parts. Sometimes there's no head. It's just the body, and sometimes there's the head. So Van Sant's cool with that. I'm cool with that. Look, I'm going to review this film. I give this film a 4 out of 4 tokes. That's a yeah, man. It's not a perfect film, but it's written very well. I can't say it's a perfect film, but it's really up there with other films who've won Oscars, like that film. They won Best Original Screenplay by 2 people. Good for them. Look at what they've done since, and Their track record is A-okay. This film is more than A-okay. It's a great film. It really does show the human connection, between all kinds of people, especially in a certain area, Like, they don't come from outside. They all inhabit the inside of this world, and with everything that goes along with it. And it's shown through these characters, through the situations in the film, through the plot in general. You got a kid who seems like he's at a disadvantage, but he's really not. He just never had the guidance, But here he is with all sorts of people who make him feel like he's well, but at the same time, who want to kind of push him to be the greatest at what they want, especially if they know what they want. And it's shot by a great director. Cinematography is great. The music is great. The acting is great. Yeah, 4 out of 4, man. It's a great fucking film. Please watch it. I think it's currently on, Prime, maybe Paramount. I don't know. Wherever Miramax is, it's right there. Ray Salazar. Follow me on Morning Shot Films. Check out my website, morningshotfilms.co. There's a lot of films that I've reviewed and I have to put out. But for now, Good Will Hunting's out on the world right now. Sinners. I want to review Sinners. I've seen it a couple of times for me to be like, all right, you know what? I got to review it. All right. I'm not the biggest Michael B. Jordan fan, but I am a fan of what he did in The Sopranos and The Wire, of course. I've not seen any of the Marvel films that he is in, like the Black Panther series and all that stuff, because I don't watch Marvel in general. Oh, Spider-Man 1, 2, and 3. I will review them, and hopefully Izzo can join me on those, because he's probably the biggest Spider-Man fan that I know. Thank you.